Okay, now it is better.
Shall I start meeting, ma'am?
Yes, I think we can begin. Ma'am, shall we go ahead?
Yeah,
Shall we
please
start
go
the
ahead.
session? Okay, thank you. Yes, good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Vikash, sir, please take things forward.
Yes. Good morning to all. I Vikas Kumar, moderator for today. Would like to extend my warm welcome to all on behalf of the recognized opinion of gender sensitization with our esteemed Dr. Vibhuti Patel. Gender sensitization.
Sir, you have some network problems. I think we are not able to hear you. Vikash, sir, are you there? Yes, there is some network problem, I think.
Yes, ma'am. There's some network problem.
Okay, fine.
Gender
So,
sensitization is an academic.
no, your voice is breaking, sir. We are not able to hear you.
Hello, Vikas sir, are you there?
Yes, I am here. But am I audible?
Actually, your voice is breaking because of low bandwidth, I think. So you can actually go ahead with inviting the next person for whatever they are supposed to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Gender sensitization attempt to bring about the modification of a behavior by raising awareness about gender equality and gender justice. This can be achieved by conducting various sensitization campaigns, discussion, webinar, training center, workshop program, etc. With the examination issues of inequality, discrimination, and gender sensitization is today amongst we have with us our Dr. Vibhuti Patel to enlighten us with her expert views on this topic. I welcome ma'am. I also welcome our principal Dr. Vijay Kumar, Commander Ms. Satya Mishra, spoken by Mr. Vikram Kumar Sena, as well as participants of today's webinar.
Good morning to all. नमस्ते। आज हम बेहद खुश हैं कि हमारे महाविद्यालय में जेंडर स्टडी पर एक वेबिनार हो रहा है। आज के संदर्भ में यह प्रासंगिक है। हम ये जानते हैं कि युगों से हमारे समाज में नारियों को जो स्थान और सम्मान मिलना चाहिए और जो वे हकदार हैं वो उन्हें नहीं मिला है। हमारे शास्त्र पुराणों में हम जो पढ़े हैं उसमें लिखा है जे युगों से हम उन्हें हमारे एक संपत्ति के रूप में परिगणन किया है। महाभारत में पांडवों के द्वारा द्रौपदी को जो शतरंज खेल में दांव पर चढ़ाना उसका एक बड़ा उदाहरण है। ये हमको दिल और दिमाग को झंझोर कर देता है कि समाज गठन में बराबर योगदान के बावजूद भी नारियों को वो स्थान सम्मान नहीं मिला है। आज भी समाज में जो कुछ घटना हो रहा है, जैसे कि कोर्ट में हाई कोर्ट में सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जो केस लगातार बढ़ते जा रहे हैं नारियों के प्रति अत्याचार, यह सूचित करता है कि हमारा विचार अब तक स्वच्छ नहीं है। इसलिए हमारा शिक्षा विभाग भी इस तरफ काम किया है। एथिक और वैल्यूज जैसे पेपर हमारा सिलेबस में जुड़ा हुआ है, जिसमें जो नीति और मूल्यबोधों के बारे में हमारे युवा समाज को सचेतन करने के लिए हम प्रचेष्टा कर रहे हैं। हम बहुत खुश है कि डॉक्टर विभूति पटेल जो प्राक्तन प्रोफेसर टाटा इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सोशल साइंस के हैं और देश के जाने माने फेमिनिस्ट है, वो हमारे बीच में हैं और हम आज उनसे बहुत कुछ जानेंगे। मैं महाविद्यालय की तरफ से अपने तरफ से उनको स्वागत करता हूं, उनको अभिनंदन करता हूं। जो उनसे हम बहुत कुछ आज जानेंगे जो हमारा शिक्षकों और विद्यार्थियों को विचार और दृष्टिकोण को परिवर्तित करेंगे। और मैं इस वेबिनार को अच्छा कैसे आगे बढ़े, ये उम्मीद करके ईश्वर को प्रार्थना करके मेरा वक्तव्य शेष करता हूँ।
Thank you, sir. Bikash, sir, are you there? So we are really grateful to our principal for giving his introductory remarks and for welcoming ma'am in such a nice way. Now, I would like to invite our students, Sachin Yadav and Mami Swai. They would like to welcome ma'am in their little ways. And because ma'am is coming to Deogarh for the first time, though it is virtually, we do hope ma'am will visit us in Odisha sometime also, physically, not virtually, and we would love to welcome her. But since she is coming to Deogarh for the first time, our students would like to tell something about this place and about our institution to ma'am. So Sachin and Mami, if you are there, first we will listen to Sachin and then we will go over to Mami. Sachin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please begin.
Okay. A very warm and pleasant good morning to all of you present over here. Esteemed Professor Dr. Vibhuti Patel, Honorable Principal Sir Dr. Vijay Kumar Maharana, Head of English Department, Sadrupa Mitra Ma'am, Dr. Vijay Kumar Jena, Head of Anthropology Department, and Mr. Vikas Kumar Nath, Department of Commerce. I welcome you all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak something about our beautiful Deogarh. Deogarh is a district of Odisha, the former capital feudatory state of Bamanda. It is known for its salubrious climate and serene atmosphere. Deogarh is well known for the Pradhanpad waterfall, which with its cascading water and rich greenery is a peaceful and meditative place. Deogarh has a rich cultural heritage which hails from the history of royalty that is integral to the story of this place. It has a it has also a another waterfall that is called Kurud Cut, and it is almost 2 kilometers away from the Deogarh town. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sachin, for telling
Our
ma'am
student,
something about Deogarh. Yes. Yes, Vikas sir, please go ahead.
thank you, Sachin. Now I invite our student, Mami Swai, second year physics honors, to tell the audience something about our college. Mami Swai, tell something about our college.
Good morning, everyone. I am Miss Fine, +3 second year, Department of Physics. First of all, I thank you for giving me a chance to speak in this webinar. My task is to say something about my college. It was established in 2016 and it is situated in the outskirts of Deogarh town, and it is well known for its discipline, and it is the newest college of our district. First of all, I want to say that before taking admission, I had heard that it was a very good college, that the teaching staff were very helpful and friendly and supportive towards the students, which provides so many opportunity to students, which is very benefit for students to show their talents. Now that I am a bona fide student of this college, and I realized that I had the truth, and I want to say the principal and the staff members encourage us to develop our abilities, where which should be
Yes, Mummy. Is there some network problem? Okay,
Yes,
go on. Go on.
She's
Continue.
having network problem.
the
She's
principal.
there. Continue.
Okay, ma'am. The principal and staff members encourage us to develop our abilities. And now that we abilities which can future we can contribute to society in productive ways. Our college promotes gender equality, and I am grateful to be that my teachers inspire both boys and girls to of the student here, and I have to do well my examination and behavior as I am studying in this college. Thank you, and again, very thank you.
Thank you, Maheshwari. Now I request Ms. Satripa Misra, the convener of this webinar, to introduce Dr. Vibhuti Patel to the audience.
Thank you, sir. It is my privilege to introduce ma'am to the audience. And while I introduce ma'am, I know that I will be inspired by whatever she has done and in whatever way she has contributed to the cause of gender equality. Dr. Vibhuti Patel is currently the Vice President of Indian Association for Women's Studies. She retired as Professor, Advanced Center for Women's Studies, School of Development Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai in 2020. Prior to that, she retired as Professor and Head of Economics Department of SNDT Women's University, Mumbai in 2017. She did her doctorate in economics from University of Mumbai and was awarded a postdoctoral fellowship from Association of Commonwealth Universities in 1992 to conduct research at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Her areas of specialization have been gender economics, women's studies, human rights, social movements, and gender budgeting. She has authored Women's Challenges of the New Millennium, co-authored Reaching for Half the Sky, Indian Women Change and Challenge, and Status Report for ICSSR, Critical Evaluation of Women's Studies and Research during 1947 to 1988. She is the co-editor of a series of 15 volumes, Empowering Women Worldwide. She has edited 2 books, namely Discourse on Women and Empowerment and Girls and Girlhoods at the Threshold of Youth and Gender. Professor Vibhuti Patel has been a member of various expert committees for IGNOU, Ministry of Science and Technology, and NCERT Delhi during 2005 to 2014. She prepared a base paper on gender for Mumbai Human Development Report 2009, MMRDA Human Development Report 2017, and co-authored Socio-Economic Status of Muslims in Maharashtra for Maharashtra State Minority Commission, Government of Maharashtra 2013. Currently, she is governing board member of Women Power Connect, Indian Council of Basic Education, Anusandhan Trust, Vacha, Women's Research and Action Group, Institute of Community Organization and Research in Mumbai. She is the chairperson of Ethics Committee of International Institute of Population Sciences, Mumbai. She is a chairperson of Board of Studies in Non-Formal Education of SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. As a member of expert committee of the Working Group on Discrimination Against Women and Girls of United Nations Human Rights Council, she contributed to prepare a report on women's human rights in the Changing World of Women 2020. During the last 3.5 decades, Professor Patel has presented papers and been a resource person in several national and international seminars, workshops, collaborative research projects, training programs, and conferences on economics and development studies with gender perspectives in various parts of India and abroad, including Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Australia, the Netherlands, Germany, and so many other nations. over the last 4 decades, Professor Patel's work has focused on issues of intersectionality, where gender, development, and social justice meet. So we are really grateful, ma'am, that today you have joined us and you are going to address our students and staff on this burning issue. It's burning and it's still, the project is incomplete of gender sensitization. So we welcome you, ma'am. And just before I hand over the things back to Bikash sir, I would like to tell the participants that towards the end of this meeting, there would be a feedback form, because your feedback is important for us. We will share the link in the chat box, and when you fill up the form and submit it, you will receive the certificates signed by our principal and our dear Vibhuti ma'am. So over to you, Vikas sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our speaker, Vibhuti Patel ma'am, to deliver her address.
Very good morning, esteemed participants. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to both to Dr. Shatrupa Mishra for having me here. And I am equally grateful to Dr. Vijay Kumar Maharana, Dr. Vikash Kumar Nath, Dr. Shri Vikram Kumar Jena, and the whole team of Model College students and teachers who have put this program to a national webinar together. My today's presentation, as it was announced, is about the gender sensitization. And I need to show my PPT. You have to enable me. The host disabled
Vikram,
participant
sir,
screen share.
Please make Vibhuti ma'am the co-host so that she will be able to share her screen. And I would also request you to mute the other participants so that there is no disturbance while ma'am is speaking. I would request the participants to mute themselves too.
Yes, I'm doing.
Yes, please do it, sir.
Yeah. Can I share my PPT?
Yes, yours.
You have to. Okay, got it. Yes. Is it visible? Can you see this? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as this first slide shows, that when we talk about gender sensitization, we start with the premise that the whole 5,000 years of culture and the kind of socialization we all have that has created a gender imbalance in various fields of life, socio, cultural, economic, and we all know that gender is not given by the nature. It comes because of the kind of values that society gives to us. Gender relations are based on power. They are relational. You can't talk about gender without fellow human being. If you are alone in an island, then there is no question of gender-based power relation. But these gender relations are based on social culture, about the age, about do's and don'ts, code of conduct, what is right, what is wrong, what kind of behavior that you need to have, what kind of opportunities you will get, what kind of restrictions you will face because what you are. If you are a young, there will be different types of treatment. If you are old, you'll be treated differently. If you're a man, you are treated differently. If you're a woman, you are treated differently. And if you're a transgender person, you are treated differently. So it is very important to understand that we are doing this exercise mainly with a commitment that gender relations can be changed. The kind of gender relations my mother or her mother or my great-grandmother had to face, I don't have those type of restrictions because the society has advanced. So many new things have come. Modern education has brought in new role for women. So the newer challenges you face. Overarching patriarchal domination it continues to be there. But patriarchy is also like an octopus. The value system of patriarchal male domination and female subordination is so flexible. It creates its own home. It creates its own space within any structure that you have. So gender sensitization has to be a constant endeavor. You just can't be complacent that, okay, we have had one class, one lecture, one national webinar in our college, and the matter ends. No, it has to be a continuous process, because with the newer challenges, the gender sensitization needs to address those challenges. No. So when we see gender sensitization, how do we understand that what is the gender sensitization as a social category? So gender sensitization aims to provide an integrated and interdisciplinary approach to understand the society and cultural construction of how the gender relations are shaped, and they determine the experiences of women, men, children, elderly, person with disability, people from different caste and community and ethnic background. So it is very important that we understand this whole, what we call as a masculine trait, what we call as a feminine trait, what we call as a gendered behavior, that requires a very sensitive understanding, exposition, and also the the method of changing this kind of a behavior. So it is very important to be clear about certain types of concepts that are used in gender understanding. Conceptualizing gender, that is very important, that you gender, how it is socially constructed, how your family plays a role in telling you that girls should be sitting at home and helping their mothers, or boys should be outgoing. If girl talks too much, she will be called a witch. While the boy talks too much, he would be called smart. Child marriage, the moment girl starts menstruating, you marry her off. Currently, we have seen under the pandemic how in one small little district of Maharashtra, we had 6,500 child marriages. So whatever work in last 150 years was done by the social reformers, like Savitribai Phule, Jyotiba Phule, Pandita Ramabai, they all fought against abject condition of girls and women, a very deplorable condition of widows in our society. But in 2 years of pandemic, what we saw, the way corona widows are treated, so much of pain and torture is inflicted on them. So many of them call them, you have apne pati ko kha gayi. That means because of you, your husband died due to corona. Okay. So these are the kind of, that is why it is very important to understand the reasons for this kind of behavior and how we change it. We can change it by such public discussion. We can change it by progressive laws. We can change it by bringing new GRs at the state and panchayat level. And we can also change it by providing support to those who are at the receiving end, those who are suffering due to this kind of prejudices existing in our society. For example, Odisha government has come up, Odisha was the first state to come up with a law criminalizing witch killing, because any woman, if she's old, or if she's divorced, or if she doesn't have a child, or if she's unmarried, or if she's helpless, you dub her as a witch, kill her mercilessly, and take away whatever she has, whether it's a house or a land or a gold or whatever. So this kind of vested interest, they need to be controlled. And they are using the gender-based prejudices against these single women. And that's why the state has come up, Odisha state has come up with the law. So we all are socially constructed. Okay, when we see gender construction, when Simone de Beauvoir, a French feminist philosopher, said that woman is not born, she's made. When a child is born, child doesn't have any other identity. Who gives the identity? Identity to a child is given first by the doctor. Doctor gives the certificate, whether this child is a male or a female. Okay, or transgender children, they suffer because doctor decides whether that transgender child will be male or a female. And currently there is a big fight going on by the transgender community, that who is a doctor or a magistrate to decide my identity. Our gender is constructed by the family socialization. how our parents, they raise us. If you study in a tribal area, you will have a certain type of upbringing. If you study in a city like Mumbai, you would have a certain notions of women. You would see thousands of women during the day or night, even they are going to work, they are going to all by, there are no male escorts, they are totally independent. Okay, we have Professor Harsha Merchant here. She's a principal of Aisha by college, and she knows that how the kind of freedom that women in city of Mumbai have. So this kind of gender-based social construction which takes place, it also sometimes results in a very conservative backlash, as it happened in case of Afghanistan. You saw the moment Taliban came to power, last 30 years of achievements of Afghan women are completely wiped out. No modern education for girls, no going out, even in the market, women can't go unaccompanied by men. Imagine a families where there are no men. Men are either killed in the Taliban war, or there are no boys to any woman. There are only girls. How do they manage their day-to-day life without going out? Or women are not allowed to work. All the women judges, they are either in jail. Those who are in Afghanistan, they are in jail, and those who are outside Afghanistan, they had to flee, they had to leave. Even the education minister, who was a woman, she had to leave the country. So you can imagine that political situation, different kind of geographical location, all of that also decides what kind of autonomy versus limitations or enabling environment or disabling environment that you'll have to face. We all are told only about gender binary. What is gender binary? That all of us there are men and women. But now the talk is about gender fluidity. There are various types of you may have a female body, you may have a female genital, but you think like a man. If you may be recently, we in a gender law, we had male dancers. Okay, they right from their childhood, they have been dancing. Earlier we used to see in Ram Leela, all the characters were played by men. Even Sita Mata was a man. Okay, so that is called gender fluidity, which we already had in our culture. We already had, but when the British came, they came up with the Section 377, which criminalized any kind of a homosexual behavior. So this now that we have repealed that draconian law, and there is a little space which the homosexual community or the transgender community is facing. Otherwise, what we see, if a child is born not perfectly, as perfect means with total women's organs, private parts, and totally men's private part, even parents would abandon such children. There are only 2 states, because of gender sensitization, 2 states at least are there who have come up with the developmental policy for transgender children, transgender elderly, transgender young people, whether they choose to call themselves as a man or a cisgender or a male gender. And we also have a Garima Griha. I don't know whether your state has, but in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, we have a Garima Griha for transgender children and people who are abandoned by their own family. They need not sleep on the platform and get raped. They need not beg at the road, and they did not beg in the train and do the sex work. They also have a right to education, right to shelter, right to ration. During the pandemic, so many philanthropic organizations, they said our ration kit and relief kit should not be given to transgender and sex workers, and we opposed it. How can you do that? Those who are victims of circumstances, how can you starve them to death? They also have family members, and and then the things started changing. That means questioning is very important. Family plays a very important role in gender relations and the gender-based division of labor. We have some friends who in their family, they are widowed mother, and there are only 4 sisters. So all these 4 sisters, they are all rounders. They can do plumbing,
Excuse me,
fitting,
ma'am.
electric, fixing their
ma'am.
fuse, because they were no men. Not that we had no technology and we
Excuse me,
Miss Sana
ma'am.
Fatima,
Let
please
us.
mute yourself.
Please mute yourself.
I'm so sorry,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
as you have been made the host, yes, please mute yourself.
So family plays the way recently somebody laughed at and called them hijra. Okay, that itself shows the deep-rooted prejudice. You scratch the screen and all your prejudices against disabled people, against people who look differently, who use different language, who dress differently, because these dancers who gave a testimony that what kind of, they performed Lavani, and what kind of personal life they have, and what kind of prejudices they faced from the society. They are married, they have children, they are responsible husbands, but right from early childhood, they like to be dancers, and they are cross-dressers. They wore sari, and they dressed up the way we women dress up, no? And what is wrong with them? There are cases in the high courts of Mumbai where men dressed in a skirt or a frock and reporting to the work, they're competent as corporate officers, no? They are excellent, like you and me, okay? But because they are cross-dresser, they are victimized. So this kind of a straight-jacketed gender stereotypes, they become extremely painful and cause massive human misery. At work also, we see the kind of gender-based division of labor we have currently in our country. 92% of women are in the unorganized sector. There are very few fortunate women like myself or Shatrupa Ben or Harshaben who are in organized sector, and we are getting equal wages. Maybe some discrimination we may have faced in promotion or so, but still we can fight it up. The Constitution of India is with us. We can use Article 14, 15, 16 to get the level playing field. But those who are in unorganized sector, and majority of women are in unorganized, why does it happen? Because of the gender stereotype that women are homemaker, men are breadwinner. Okay, and currently in the pandemic also you must have noticed in your state also that earlier it was mainly single women and women, totally helpless women, who would stand in the queue of MG Narega. Narega ki naukri kaun karega? Because Narega rates are less than the market rate. But after the pandemic, when millions of men are unemployed, there was a reverse migration. Men are standing in the queue of Narega, and the district authorities, even the district commissioner tells women, when so many men are unemployed, why are you standing in a queue? That means women's family can remain hungry. They can be without wages. What is the logic of telling these women that they are not eligible, that they should not be given priority in the Narega jobs? Even when the government is employer, women are paid less. Even in Narega, there is a wage differential. We all applaud Asha workers and Anganwadi workers. Asha workers got award for the best service and the best corona warrior during by the World Health Organization. But still, what is their condition? They don't even get the minimum wages of the state. So women's work is invisible, unrecognized, non-remunerated, and non-rewarded. So why does it come? It is mainly because of this kind of a gender stereotypes. In the question of health, malnutrition, currently you see NFHS data, National Family Health Survey data, which were surveys were conducted during 2019-20 and 2021. 1920, it was all on mobile, the WhatsApp video. They interviewed the participants through WhatsApp video. While in 2020, there was some opening up. There was not 100% lockdown. So I think people were interviewed. And the data are shocking. Women and child's nutritional standards have gone drastically down. Why? Because in our family, women eat last, least leftover. Why do we do this kind of segregation? Even a pregnant woman, major killer in India. Even African countries have now gone ahead of us. But still, India has an extremely high maternal mortality. And what is the major killer of a pregnant woman? Anemia. Any complication in family, anemia becomes a fatal in case of any health emergency. If we are healthy, if I got corona 3 times in last 2 years, still I am alive because basically my health is okay. But if I am anemic, if I have a malnourished, then I would be the first person to immediately I would die. So question of morbidity and mortality also become very important. So public health concerns also have to be gender sensitized. Currently, there is a big project government of India has started. Is a gender in medical education. What kind of textbooks do we have in medical colleges that doctors also have gender stereotype? Gender law in society, our law. Okay, constitution is very good. It is progressive. But how is the law implemented? Baba Sahib had told, there is a big gap. We have come up with one of the best constitutions in the world. But reality is deplorably demoralizing. Why? Because there is a gap between what is there in the law book and what the implementation. And who implements it? It's the people like you and me. Unless we are gender sensitized, we will not implement it judiciously. So legal system, police force, criminal legal system, just writing FIR itself is, see, even in case of Nirbhaya, police had not written the FIR. Okay, a woman who is so brutally raped by 6 people thrown naked on the roads of highway of Delhi in a capital city, and FIR was not written. So why did it happen? Because of the gender bias. The same police officer, they thought that why should a woman be out at 8:30 in the evening? Though she was a working woman, she was a physiotherapist, okay? And still, these are the kind of notions that women should be home before sunset and they should not step out before sunrise. No, women can't go. Any unescorted woman is a woman of a loose character. Earlier, when I used to work in the women's organization, and so many times we had to file FIR for dowry murders or rape, and you would be at the police station 7 hours. At 9 o'clock, I would return from police station to my home, and the rickshawala would say, are you a dancer? Are you working in a red light area? No. So they can't think of women being out for any other work, whether it's a night shift or whether it is any medical emergency, or so nobody even asks her that why are you? What's happened? Why did you get late? No, you must have seen Satyajit Ray's movie where a working woman doesn't come home by 6:30, and the anxiety. The whole film is about what different people are thinking about these working women. No. Gender representation in media valorizes, media reflects what's happening in society. At the same time, media also perpetuates the stereotypes. So we need, through media can play a very important role in changing the mindset of people. You know that for last 20 years, Population First and Ladli Media Award, they are trying to do that by encouraging regional and English language media to portray positive, constructive, and hope-generating image of women. And but things are changing because of, they also continuously organize gender sensitization workshops for media barons, journalists, television filmmakers, producers, and the media institution managers. No, because there are, if you know, in big cities, you have a big in Calcutta, Madras, Ahmedabad, Bombay. You have so many media institutions, and now mass media has also become a degree course and master's course. Gender in decision-making process. So which are the decision-making process? We have electoral bodies, right from Panchayat and Legislative Assembly and Parliament. Okay, so there, what is the representation of women? And those who are representing, are they gender sensitized? I'm not talking of only women or men. Or are they gender sensitized? Are they promoting gender agenda? Are they responding to the new challenges that we are facing in our country? So there also gender sensitization has become mandatory. Judiciary and legal profession, I told you about that. And administration, the governance, even the governance structures, unless they are gender sensitized, they will not use any of these progressive measures to change to make social transformation. Systems and structures that determine gender norms. Which are the systems and structures? Gender norms are determined by our education system, governance structures, by our law, and by the customs, traditions, proverbs, folk lore, folk media, mainstream media. All of them need to this kind of gender sensitization. We need to deconstruct the gender stereotypes. What is the origin of this gender stereotype? From where did it come that women are inferior and men are superior? Or where did it come that we have to laugh at transgender people? Where did it come that disabled people should be treated as a piece of furniture, not as an individual? Who taught us that elderly people are useless? All these things we have internalized, and it can be changed. When Bhavri Devi was gang raped in 1997 for doing her duty, she was a government employee. She had a mandate to promote girls' education, prevent child marriage, make people aware about the reproductive health. Women provide iron tablet to pregnant and lactating mothers, and provide midday meal. And when she came to know that in one village, Jat community was organizing child marriage, she went there with the police to stop the marriage. And the community leaders got so angry that she was publicly raped when all in front of all the villagers. And when she went to file public interest police FIR, police would not even write the FIR, fearing the backlash from Jat community. And finally, it was the women's organizations and Vishakha, an NGO, which created a pressure. All women's groups stood by Bhavri Devi. People's Union for Civil Liberties stood by her. And her case finally came to Rajasthan High Court, which gave an extremely obnoxious judgment, saying that she was from a potter community. This man, educated, rich man, would not even go near her shadow because of the caste. Upper caste people don't go in the proximity of lower caste because India has untouchability. So this kind of and it enraged the women's group. In Supreme Court, the case was filed. Justice Verma and Attorney Lakshmi, they gave a very good judgment in Vishakha directive, and that's why your college also has a women development cell. Everyone, it's compulsory to have internal complaints committee, thanks to the struggle, heroic struggle of Bhavri Devi, who is now also is a role model. She's active in the PUCL, she's in the national body. But what is the learning? The women who stood by Bhavri Devi for 7 years throughout a legal struggle, there was a tremendous burnout. It is not easy to fight against violence against women. Something within you is completely destroyed. No? That human, your interest in life, everybody likes to have a nice life. No? And when you fight against this kind of evil forces, there is a burnout. You also go through tremendous trauma. So all these women who stood by Bhavri Devi decided to go away to Himalayas. They all took their backpack and they took their sleeping bag, and they said, now we are fed up of this misogyny, that we experience the kind of dirty statements, filthy statements they heard at the police station, the dirty jokes which were going on about Bhavri Devi or the court. Have you been in a court when a woman's case is being discussed? Double meaning sentences, puns, dirty jokes, the way voyeuristic eyes look on women's anatomy. It's really torture to be in a torture chamber. And these women, they decided that they would go away to Himalaya and be out of this toxic environment. And what they saw, they were there for 6 weeks. They were going from one mountain to other mountain. Things were difficult. There was sometimes it was windy. Sometimes they had no food to eat. Sometimes some villages were kind enough to give them that black tea, which mostly the Himalayan people, they drink. There was a food shortage at night. Sometimes they encountered the wild animals. But what they said, that they did not see a single incident of violence against women. And it was an all-women group sleeping in the open on Himalayan mountains in their sleeping bag. And they said they did not hear any foul language. They did not hear any gali which directed at women's private part. Okay, nothing. People just would not behave in that. That means we have internalized, we have accepted this violent behavior by the patriarchal value system and the upbringing that we had. So all of us can share this kind of baggage with gender sensitization. Okay, that's what. And I have also experienced it after Nirbhaya tragedy, when the Home Ministry of Maharashtra made it compulsory that every quarter, every educational institution had to have one program of gender sensitization, not only for students, but also teachers, staff, gardeners, liftmen, and this thing. And then one college took up the challenge and they said that they invited all the peon, watchmen, liftmen, gardeners, and the admin staff for gender sensitization in local language, Gujarati, Hindi, Marathi. And I was invited as a resource person. It so happened that day it rained heavily, and you know Bombay rains. Whole Bombay was flooded. I said, nobody will come. But you would not believe, we expected some 100 people, more than 250 people from all parts of Mumbai. It's Bombay is such a huge city. They took train, they took bus, they took rickshaw, some had two-wheeler. So they all pulled the cart. If one non-teaching staff had a car, then they all pulled in. But they came, they said no, because they were really shocked by what happened to Nirbhaya. No? And they had come. And I had a very good session, interactive session with them. Instead of my 45-minute lecture, it went on for 3.5 hours. It started becoming dark, but still no participant wanted to leave. And I said, aren't you getting late? Because in Bombay, during peak hours, nobody wants to travel. They by 4:45, at least all of them, the hall is empty. But that it did not happen. And so many of them, after the session got over, they came and told me. And I was so touched by one watchman who came and told me, ma'am, I had decided the moment my daughter gets her chumps of menstruation, I'll pack her off to the village and get her married. But now, after this session, I think if I do that, it would be committing a crime. I will educate my daughter. Whatever I'm told that educated women are rude, they are, this is what even the films, no, the 50s and 60s also showed, no, that educated women are arrogant, they back answer, they don't respect people from rural areas. And there's like, I said, but in Baroda city, mine was the house which was open for all my rural relatives, okay, when my mother was also educated and she was wife of a bureaucrat. So it is not education which makes you rude, okay, it is your values of inequality or your superiority and your discriminatory behavior. It can be there among anybody. On the contrary, good education always makes you a polite person, okay. So and that's what our students, the organization in which I am associated with, which works with the adolescent girls. And when we started working with the boys, because earlier our training programs used to be, or the summer schools we call it, for 10-day school, 15-day school, where the girls come together. You have to do a lot of persuasion with the parents in Bastis to send their girl. And we see to it that once they develop trust for us, they would send their daughters. But then we started inviting their brothers also for this summer school. And once they got gender sensitized, they would negotiate with the father that my sister will not go to native place for a marriage at the age of 13 and 14. Bombay girls menstruate early. They menstruate at the age of 11 and 12. Fifth standard girls start menstruating. You can't pack her up. She's very good in mathematics. In fact, I am learning from her, because if the brother is in 3rd standard and she's in 5th standard, or a brother is in 7th standard, she's in 9th standard, and she teaches, she says she's so caring. Now also she always thinks, why do you think that if she educated, she'll be uncontrollable? Look at our didis. Our didis are, all of them are highly educated, but they are so caring. They are so giving, they are so generous, and they have prevented their daughters or their sisters' marriage. And currently our organization has 300 girls who are into graduation, post-graduation. Some of them have become role models. One became a doctor, one became chartered accountant, other one became lawyer. And when they see that and how caring and their education has also resulted in upward mobility of the whole family. Those who were in a basti, now they are in a pakka house. Those who were in a one room, now they are in a flat. These girls have taken loan from the bank. They are bankable also, credit, because they have job. So this kind of understanding that gender equity, gender equality is not a zero-sum game. If Shatrupa madam goes ahead, I am not going to lose. In fact, she will invite me, okay? So it is always, so gender relationship, if women become empowered, they are going to empower their family. They are going to empower their community. They are going to empower the nation. So this is the message which gender sensitization gives. And gender awareness and gender responsiveness. Once you become aware of gender issues, you have to be responsive. Okay, this gender sensitization is going to is going to empower you to take decisions wherever you are, whether you are a teacher or a student or a bureaucrat or a elected representatives. It will make you take very, very responsible decision in a manner that any unfolding reality or any step that you are taking, is it going to create a more enabling environment or a disabling environment? Is it going to create more resources for the community, or whether it is going to take away the resources? So this kind of a sense of responsibility, it generates amongst everybody. Now, we start that there is a inequality in gender relations, and the gender sensitization tries to moves in the path of gender equality. It facilitates by it recognizing and giving due importance to contribution of everybody. It doesn't focus only on women. Okay, it focuses on women, men, transgender persons. It tries to identify the reasons. What are the reasons for subordination? Once you address these reasons, you can also create the enabling environment. To empower women and other marginalized sections to attain gender justice and effective roles in the decision-making body, in the family decision-making. Who takes decision in the family? Only father or a grandfather, or everyone is consulted, whether you about the career, about the property buying and selling of property, about the opportunities who will get, why a boy will go in English medium school and his sister will go in a government or local language school. Why, if there is a one smartphone, that smartphone will be used for online learning of a boy and not of a girl. After gender sensitization programs, the parents have changed. They said, no, I will divide my time. Boy, my son will get a smartphone for 4 hours. Remaining 4 hours, my daughter will get smartphone so that she can also join the online class. Currently, you know, because of these gender stereotypes, we have 1 crore Indian girl out of school. Government of India, Ministry of Education, now we have a separate Ministry of Education, has sent the GR to all state governments to identify how many girls are missing in the school who were there earlier. What are the reasons for that, which they are missing? They have no money to pay fees, or they don't have smartphone, or they have no access to online, or there is a poor connectivity, because it can happen. My student in Kuch Bihar had to walk 2 kilometers to get connected with me on mobile, because in his village, there was no connectivity. So this, even for his PhD viva, he had to go to the cyber cafe to defend his thesis. No, so that has happened. So once you identify, you can also find the solution to that. To understand the roots of inequality, invisibility, marginalization, and exclusion, that why certain people are excluded from any thinking. Whenever we take decisions about the school building, do we take into consideration the question of separate toilet for boys and girls? How many schools are doing? In Karnataka, the major reason for dropout of girls was that there were no girls' toilet, and you can't go in open. So this kind of decision making is very being sensitive. Or for transgender person, when a first student in College of Social Work joined BSW course, he barged into his principal's office. I think she was the resource person in Shatrupa Madam's previous webinar, or Dr. Geeta Balakrishnan, who was a principal. And he says, where is my toilet? There was no toilet in the college for transgender person. He said, they say, you can use any toilet. They said, no, I can't use any toilet. If I use men's toilet, I'm a rape survivor. I will not use, I have a tremendous fear of men. I will not use women's toilet, because we know people are scared of hijras, and women will start screaming, hijra aa gaya, hijra. I don't want to use women's toilet. principal said, Geeta, okay, you use my toilet till we get construct a special toilet for you. But why is it happening? When you go to Sweden, I was quite surprised that they have a gender neutral toilet. There are 2 toilets in every department. One gender neutral toilet, anybody could use, man, women, transgender, and another toilet for person with disability. So because they need a special way of construction because they have to keep their stick and wheelchair, and it has to connect with wheelchair. So things change when this thing. Like even when it comes to hostel, TISS is the only place where you have a hostel for transgender students. And it is a massive number of transgender students. One day they would come in a class in a sari, other day they would come in a t-shirt and denim, third day they would come in a frock. So sometimes they tie their hair, sometimes the makeup is different, but they are as bright as any other day students. Okay, and teachers also don't have problem. When the question of hostel came, transgender students refused to stay in a men's hostel. They said, we will not stay, we are scared. But women were not scared of them. So all the women students of TISS, they said, yeah, they can be in our hostel. So in TISS, if you go to women's hostel, ground floor is for transgender students. First, second, third floor are for the girl student. So it all depends on what kind of ecosystem you are in and the environment in which you are accordingly, your gender relations, how much you are at ease with each other, and gender fluidity you accept, that will create the responses that you would get. So supporting the social action aimed at equality, development, peace, education, health, employment for everybody, man, women, a transgender person, person with disability, is the major goal of gender sensitization. Now, let us see discipline-wise why we need gender sensitization. In medicine, medical science is basically worships Freud. And you know, Freud was good so far as he talked about psychotherapy. He brought the whole question of quote unquote madness from the realm of violence to the realm of conversation. Okay, but he also had a misogyny. He believed in Electra complex. He believed in penis envy by a woman. He believed in an Oedipal complex. He also said women and children can never be trusted. Their testimonies cannot be trusted. They dream, they get hallucination, they get bad dreams, which they consider to be reality, which is actually created major damage of when it came to women patients or women survivor of sexual violence or incest or a child sexual abuse, according to Freud, was dream. Bad dream. It was a hallucination. And that's why in the medical science, the question of sexual violence or child sexual abuse was not taken seriously. Nobody even bothered about the circumstantial evidences. Why there are bruises? They say, oh, he must have fallen in the bathroom. No, these bruises were by the attack, by the predator. It took women's movement to fight for more than 60 years to establish that what children and women are saying is true. Rape do take place, sexual violence do take place, incest do take place, unwed widows getting pregnant. You know, Hawaii Tarabai Shinde wrote that Stri Purush Tulna. It was a young widow who became pregnant in the 19th century. And she was ostracized by her own family. She was a Brahmin widow. And the torture with the society her own family did, that ended Tarabai Shinde. That how can you expect a widow to have an agency? She's the most powerless person in the family. Why don't you ask the person who perpetrated sexual violence or sexual relation on her, whether it's a barber or a family member or father-in-law, someone in the who had access to widow, because widows were not even allowed to go out. And she wrote a book. You should download that book, Stree Purush Tulna, which is translated now from Marathi into English by Dr. Gay Lombard. Gay Lombard translated it, and it's available free of charge on the internet. So now there is the gender in medical education has become a very important exercise, that how to make, whether it is psychology, psychiatry, anatomy, physiology, casualty wards behavior, how to identify the question of domestic violence. And NFHS 5 data you must have seen that during the pandemic, again, the 1/3 of the Indian women are facing domestic violence. Okay. And during the pandemic, it became a shadow pandemic. So how will the medical colleges run by the government, state government, and central government would respond to? Battery. Now, another thing is that in psychology, as I told you, counseling. How do we do the counseling? If the counselor thinks that counselor has an expert knowledge, and the testimony by the person who goes for the help is not listened to in a democratic way or without respect, and we have seen this is the kind of counseling that happens. Counselors also have a patriarchal baggage that needs to be challenged. Psychiatry, as I told you, that psychiatry as a discipline has done a major disservice to those who have been at the margin of the economy. I think many of you from the big background in literature must be knowing about Foucault, History of Sexuality, how Foucault talks about the dominant knowledge. Dominant knowledge is a patriarchal knowledge. It's a knowledge of a person who has power and status and visibility and voice. But what about the knowledge of the subjugate, who are voiceless, who are not even given any opportunity to represent themselves? We have to bring their voices in center stage, and then our counseling will not be monocentric, like what I say, my way or highway. I am telling you to do that, read properly, concentrate on this, meditate, do yoga. Instead of, we would first patiently listen to the person. What are the phobias, prejudices, or certain fears that a person has? And then is it possible to collectively work on it in a democratic way? And that's what women's movement did. All of us, my whole generation of feminists would have been in mental asylum, or we would have committed suicide had there not been women's rights movement. It was a collective catharsis. Whatever we had observed in terms of dowry murders or ill treatment of our mothers and daughter-in-laws in our neighborhood, and bride girl not being allowed to go to school, or trafficking happening all along, child labor happening, all that, it was the collectively we came together, we fought against it, we discussed it by creating a non-threatening environment where everyone can freely speak. What are their fears? What are their phobias? What were the childhood experiences of discrimination, dehumanization, violence, which have created this kind of personality? And this personality can be changed. And the slogan of women's movement, Ek or Ek 11, 1 + 1 is equal to 11. If you are alone, you can be witch hunted. You can be isolated. You can be called mad. My mother used to say, hey, when I was a child, you asked too many questions. Girl like me, or also, my mother was brighter than me. She was very good in terms of memory and articulation. But she said, I always pretend to be stupid. I never open my mouth. Well, you open your mouth. Person like you, a girl like you, would have been dubbed as a witch 50 years earlier. Good, you are born in the 20th century. That's what my mom used to say. But the moment we joined the women's movement, we know that there were so many such women who were questioning discrimination, who were questioning injustice, who were questioning degradation, who were questioning subordination. And there's nothing wrong in doing that. Then you read Amrita Pritam, and you read literature, and you read so many voices which are talking about equality. So then and that collective, this thing transform the society. Yesterday, we lost two very important ones. One was a Mary Roy, Arundhati Roy's mom. Mary Roy, I have heard her. I was a young woman, and we had organized public meeting in support of a petition in the Supreme Court of India. Her lawyer was Advocate Indira Jai Singh, and she was in Bombay. Indira was in Bombay, and she came to meet a lawyer. We organized a meeting. Mary Roy was an educationist. She had love marriage. She was Syrian Christian, married to a Bengali Brahmin. After she became widowed, she left Calcutta, went back to her native place, where her brother told her that Syrian Christian women don't have any right to property, equal right to property. That means Syrian Christian women can get 1/4 of the share of brother. Sister can get 1/4 of his share of brother, equivalent to or less than 5,000. So if your property right comes to 5,000, it's okay. If it is more than 5,000, then you don't get. What you get is only 5,000. And that's what she challenged, because she had a small baby, Arundhati. She went to native place. She had nobody. And she was a headmistress in Corpus. She started a school also there in Kerala, Corpus Christi School. But brother did challenge, and she said, it's not only then, it is not only my plight. She said, I'm so angry. It's not only me. I am at least educated. I am a headmistress. But this is what is happening to thousands of Syrian Christian women. It's a wealthy community. It is not even a poor community, extremely wealthy community. And this is how they treat their daughters. And she challenged Travancore Syrian Christian personal law in the Supreme Court of India. First time when she appeared in the court, the Supreme Court judges, Justice Bhagwati, but progressive judges, he says, ma'am, I understand your feeling. I know as per Constitution, fundamental rights, you are right, Article 14, 15, 16. But do you have a backing of your company? How many women are supporting you? After that, 85 branches of YWCA throughout the country invited her for a public lecture. And after her lecture, everyone would sign supporting her petition. By the time second hearing took place, there were 2 lakh signatures she had collected. And she showed it to the judge. This many women are with me. So there were 2 sets. One was a signatures of Syrian Christian women supporting Mary Roy, and the signature of all other women of India, secular women's movement, supporting her. So there is strength in number. And that is what she won the petition. She won her case. And now, because of her personal struggle, lakhs of Syrian Christian women have equal property right. If you see the whole history of women challenging discriminatory aspects of family laws based on religion, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Parsi family laws, and 30,000 customary laws that we have in our country, you know that it begins with the one person, but it has a massive transformatory implication. The disciplines of sociology, where we have seen that the whole concept of modernization, concept of whole structural functional analysis, structure of society, structure of family, everything is based on a patriarchal belief of man as a breadwinner and woman as a homemaker. And if any imbalance takes place, it creates tension. Okay, this is how the sociology is being taught. But why do we consider this patriarchal gender-based division of labor? Why don't we talk about housework as a sharing and caring by each and every member of the family? Currently, if you see, throughout the world, India has the lowest work participation rate of women. Behind us, there is only one country, Afghanistan. Because of Taliban, you know that women are not allowed. Why is it happening? At one level, UGC is boasting that we are churning out millions of degree holders, women in our country. Okay, they have a BA, BCom, professional degrees, but these degrees don't translate into career. CMI data says only 9% of India's women are in the workforce. Government of India doesn't accept it. They say that it is 18% women are in the workforce, but still it is very low. When you have other Asian countries, Bangladesh 35%, Singapore 65%, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, everywhere you have a nearly more than double or triple participation. So what are the gender norms? What are men in those days? Who looks after children? Who looks after family? Who does the cooking, cleaning, caring? Who does so? There is a sharing and caring. When you have that, when you see that every citizen has to be caring, every citizen, every person in the country has a response. You decide amongst yourself, okay, how you want to organize your personal life. But to make it mandatory for women to be homemaker and mandatory for men to become breadwinner, that is also very, very oppressive. Okay, in my life, if you say my 45 years of marriage, we have taken turns. Okay, there was a time where my husband did full-time job. I did my work for the women's movement. Then came a time where I did full-time job as an academician, and he took this thing. He's believed from medicine, he shifted to ethics. He had to study logic and philosophy, and it's a luxury for a middle class to do something. But I said, okay, we'll manage. We lead a Spartan life, so we'll manage in one salary. You work on it. So this gave such a important, respectful way of managing human relations that both of us feel young, both of us feel energetic, both of us feel stimulated. And we do everything together, right? From housework. The people say you are giving so many online webinars. How can you do it when you have support? Without support of the family, we do housework ourselves. So we do it. We organize our time accordingly. And this, even when it came to looking after our elderly people, my papa had a stroke, and I was planning to give up the job, but they said nothing to him. My daughter said, "No, Mama, we'll make a WhatsApp group of 3 people, and so, and we'll make a WhatsApp group of 3 people, and then we will continuously and all 3 of us, it's a duty of all 3 of us to look after Nana." Okay, and that's how we manage. Ethnography and anthropology also, you know that these are the 2 very important disciplines that came during the colonial times. It has a strong, the origin of anthropology and ethnography had a strong Western bias. It had a bias of a white man, okay, because the way that they used this discipline mainly to prove that it was a white man's burden to civilize the planet. And there were people like us, we were the barbaric, we were the colonies, and bringing and the expert missionaries or expert anthropologists or expert theorists, the social theorist would analyze our society, that how we subaltern, how we coolies in the colonies are operating, and how they need to make, the way Machiavelli said, that I will create coconuts. Who are the coconuts? That they are outwardly brown, the Indians outwardly brown, but inside they would accept supremacy of the British Empire. And they would think that local culture, indigenous culture is of no importance. It is inferior, it is barbaric, it has no value. So this ideological baggage we have in these 2 disciplines, it also had misogyny, it also had ethnic chauvinism, it also had racism, and it also had a classism. And that has been challenged by the gender sensitization, because we have to make ethnographer is not some expert who provides the knowledge about the functioning of the societies and communities. Ethnographer has to learn. You learn from the community. As Lakshatrupa madam is learning so much from the students who have been in Deogarh for a long time. They are the ones who are telling you that what are the advantages, what are the major attractions in Deogarh, what is the local culture, local language, local idiom, local symbolism, local imagery, local songs, local practices of agriculture. All these are extremely important, and we should never try to homogenize. Just because I'm coming from the city, my way or highway. No, we need diversity and plurality. We can learn a lot from diversity, and it's very important to have diversity not only among the human beings, but among the plants, among the animals. In the whole ecosystem, there should be diversity. When it comes to economics, we know in economics, we are always told there is always economic man, there is no economic woman. And this economic man takes rational decision. As a consumer, he tries to maximize satisfaction. So if you eat one apple, you get 8 units of satisfaction. If you eat second apple, you would get 6 units of satisfaction, because second, by the time there is nothing nowhere. If you eat third apple, you may vomit. That means your satisfaction is negative. Why should we have this kind of a logic of hedonism? Why can't we say, if you have one apple, cut it into pieces, share it with your people, and let us all enjoy apple, no? So this whole logic of maximization principle in neoclassical economics, which is reigning supreme, and that is what is the logic of neoliberal thinking also. Jo jeeta wahi sikandar, jo pakda gaya wo bandar. Okay, might is right. No, we don't want might is right culture. We want a culture of cooperation. We want a culture of mutual respect and care and concern. So that is what the gender economists believe in. And that's why people like us, instead of using our knowledge for predatory activities of financial economics, we don't do that. We empower the community. We talk about gender responsive budgeting. We talk about how to use taxpayers' money for the social good, maximum good for maximum number of people. When it comes to philosophy, we know that right from Socrates and Aristotle, all of them, they were excellent. They talked about democracy. They made a massive personal. Socrates had to make had to sacrifice his life for what he considered as his truth. But he also believed that women and slaves are not citizens. Who can be the citizens? Only tax-paying man can be citizen. But first of all, you don't allow any property right to women, and you rob of people who you consider whom you have defeated in the war, and you may have made them slaves. And how can you say that they don't have equal right? And it took a big struggles in the from 16th to 19th century for voting right for citizens, and even women had to have a suffrage is a struggle. So even philosophy, the misogyny in the philosophy, exclusion in the philosophy has also been challenged. And I think you can read Foucault, Derrida, and so many feminist philosophers who have tackled this issue. In the political theories, most of the political theories are extremely macho. They are extremely masculine. Most of them only talk about the war and victory and defeat, and even the way you can see recent reports on the Ukrainian war or even the Afghanistan situation, there hardly any gender sensitivity is being shown. So political theories also need, like currently the major interest is in a feminist foreign policy. In fact, some 6 countries have already adopted it. Sweden was the first one to accept. And for the 5 major principles of feminist forest policy is a peacemaking, peace building, and peacekeeping. UN system has to be more gender responsive. Third one is universalization of education and the promises of Sustainable Development Goal, Millennium Development Goal to be implemented by the world community. Then the question of climate change, how to respond to the climate change and saving the whole planet. Now, coming to the question of history, most of the history is only about war between powerful men over land or women or wealth. As against that, when we talk about the history is being made by the people. Oh.
Sachin Yadav, please mute yourself. You're disturbing, ma'am. Sachin, please mute yourself. Or I would request ma'am to mute that person, because ma'am is the host now.
Okay, let me do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, some participants are joining right now.
In the waiting room, and if you could admit them.
Yeah, fine. So when it comes to, as against that, what gender sensitization say, that we also need to have many voices in history. People are making history, farmers are making history, workers are making history, students are making history, women are making history, and that is called her story. Women have been hidden from the history. We are talking about the freedom movement. It is hardly one or two Sarojini Naidu or Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay we talk about, while millions of women had made sacrifices from 1917 onwards after the Jallianwala massacre. And now there is a tremendous interest among role that women freedom fighters played. 15 women who made a pivotal contribution for the formation of a constitution as India's constitution. About them, a lot of research is happening. Everybody, every civilization needs icon. I had gone to, on 8th March, I was invited as a chief guest by Pawan's College. And it was a poster competition. There were 80 entries of posters. 79 entries were only from Bollywood, either a model or a heroine, and all, whatever they could get from the newspapers. They had used the collages of film heroines from Bollywood. No sports star, no dancer, no classical singer. One student had a poster on Shubha Lakshmi. I gave her first prize and I just told her, can you explain what made you to choose Shubha Lakshmi as a role model on 8th March? And she said she used to listen to, every morning she had to share. In Bombay, we have small 2-bedroom halls. One is used by couple, one is your children and grandmother. I used to share bedroom with my mother and grandmother every day morning. 4 o'clock she would start Shubha Lakshmi's bhajan. And she said, I asked one day, Nani, don't you get bored? Same bhajan you are hearing. Say, what is so unique about Shubha Lakshmi? And she told her a story of Shubha Lakshmi, how Shubha Lakshmi came from Devdasi community. Her knowledge and her commitment to the Karnataka music, she came to the limelight. She led a very ascetic life. All the earnings she made from her concerts, she dedicated to freedom movement. Gandhiji had a high respect for her. Even when India became independent, she was summoned to sing Jana Gana Mana. She was sent as a representative of India in the League of Nations to sing Vande Mataram. And she said that made her interested in Shubha Lakshmi, and she started reading more about Shubha Lakshmi's other contribution. So I think it's very important. All of us need such icon. If we get a good icon and good role models, the whole society also progresses fast. And that's why it's very important that in history, all those who have made valuable contribution for nation building, for ecological safety, like why we remember Chipko way back in 1972, they had predicted how we are damaging the environment. Arbitrary felling of trees is causing massive damage to our Himalayas. They use the term Himalaya ka balatkar kiya, okay, the raping of Himalaya. And they came up with a very, very strong movement, which inspired women all over the world, whether it is they are in Mexico, in Amazon, or Japan, or Fiji Island, or Karnataka in Apiko movement, or Save Girnar movement in Gujarat, or currently what's happening in Mumbai is the Save RA forest. So that is happened. So it's a historical figures play very important. Both damaging historical episodes also, we can never forget what's happening to women in Taliban today, or what happened, what Hitler did to the Jewish communities in this thing. And that's why every German child has to go to war museum. They all parents take them. They said it is our parental duty to tell the child the horrors of war. That never in your life you indulge in this kind of dirty games. No, so it is very important to sensitize, to bring gender sensitivity in our history. And the legal studies, as I told you, the first important lesson we got was in 1980. In 1972, a young tribal girl called Mathura was raped by 2 uniformed policemen in the police station when all her relatives were screaming for help outside the police station. Throughout the night, she was raped. Her clothes were torn. In the morning, when Mathura the door opened of the police station. Mathura's bruised, bleeding body with torn clothes and tears in her eyes, created tremendous anger among a young law student called Vasudha. Vasudha Dagambar filed her case in a Sessions Court of Nagpur. Fought her case pro bono. She did not charge anything from it. And this case, the Session Court of Nagpur, they said, Mathura, what are you talking? These Adivasi girls, these poor girls, they don't have any character. She had a boyfriend. She had eloped with her boyfriend. You know, they among her community, adolescent girls and boys, they elope in a jungle, stay for a couple of days and decide whether to get married or not. That is the customary practice of the tribal community. And she did not get any justice in the Session Court, and both the policemen, they were freed by Jadri Hakia. They were scot-free. Again, Vasudha filed the case in the Supreme High Court of Mumbai, where they were given 1 minute. So they were given punishment, a rigorous punishment of 10 years, because whatever said and done, Mathura was a minor. And any sexual relation with a minor girl is an offense, and they were given punishment. These two policemen went to Supreme Court of India, and again, the Supreme Court judgment was full of misogyny, prejudice, and prejudice against poor Adivasi girl. This enraged 4 law professors of Delhi University, and they wrote open letter challenging the judgment of Supreme Court of India, which happened for the first time in the history of India. Nobody would, Supreme Court is the final word, no? That was the understanding. And they wrote, you should read that open letter. Just you say the open letter on Mathura case, and you can download it. It is there on internet. And this gave an idea to so many young lawyers and the women activists that we can challenge. Nothing is sacrosanct about High Court or Supreme Court. If they give a misogynist judgment, we can challenge it. And even in the legal studies currently now, it has become a practice that you take up any judgment of a Supreme Court, High Court, lower court, Session Court, Labor Court, and how, if you are given a power, if you become a judge, how would you give the judgment? So in case of Mathura, that the main thing is that reopen the case, go by the circumstantial evidences that her body was bruised, her clothes were torn. There were hundreds of villagers who had seen her in that horrible condition. These are called circumstantial evidences. Don't focus on her past history. Just because she had a boyfriend, what do you mean? If anybody, even a sex worker cannot be raped against her will. That's what in a Gangubai Kathiawadi movie. Sure, no, how can you rape even a sex worker? So this is, so now the legal studies that, and then it became, in any gender sensitization workshop, we give such exercise. That this is the judgment. There was a judgment in Allahabad High Court. A man got divorced. He applied for divorce from his wife, with the reason that when his friends came, she did not serve them tea on time. Okay, and it was considered to be an insult and mental torture for husband. So this kind of judgment. You had a judgment by Punjab High Court where a school teacher was elevated as a headmistress, and she told her husband that, and she had 3 children. School-going and college-going children. And she said that now she's so happy. She really worked hard for 30 years to become a headmistress. But along with it, with this promotion, she was also transferred. So she said for 5 days, she would be in the new place. And Friday evening, she would come to her matrimonial home. Friday, Saturday, she would do whatever was required for the family. And again, on Monday morning, she would go to her new place where she was appointed. Husband said nothing doing. The wife's first duty is that of a homemaker. You resign from the job. We will not accept your transfer. And that I think we have seen in those days. I'm talking of 70s. My mother's generation, anytime a husband was transferred, a wife would resign and join the husband, or anytime she was transferred again, then also she would resign. And this, but she said no, she loved her profession and she would not. Husband filed a case in High Court of Punjab, demanding restitution of conjugal rights. You know, Rakma Bai Sabi in 19th century, when a young girl was challenged her child marriage and she refused to cohabit with her husband. At that time, her husband adduced restitution of conjugal rights. And that Punjab High Court's judgment can also be a very good exercise. That how, what is the destiny of a working woman, educated working woman in our country? Instead, the husband saying that, okay, don't worry, we have refrigerator, we have cook, we are also learn cooking. It is even my duty as a father to feed the family, or we all of us will pitch in and manage, and we are happy in your progress. The man says that no, she should give up her career and be a homemaker. So in legal studies now, the young lawyers are also doing this exercise that had you been in that place, what kind of judgment you give? Recently, you saw 4 very good judgments were given during the lockdown. Justice Ramana, it was Justice Ramana who did that, about the accident compensation. A woman was, both husband and wife in two-wheeler were killed by a moving truck, and the insurance company had to pay compensation. Insurance company calculated husband's compensation by age, like he was 34 and he would have worked till 60. And what would be what is his salary, multiply it by 12 and number of years, and the amount was settled, decided for husband. But the insurance company said they would not pay compensation for a wife. Wife was pregnant, she had a baby also in the tummy, who both were killed, baby and mother. But it was just a housewife. And that is challenged by the Supreme Court. They said, how can you say that the housewife's work is of no use? Housewife's work is extremely important. You have deprived, the accident has deprived children of their mother, and her work was valuable. And they decided a lump sum amount of 5,000 per month as a housewife's compensation, and accordingly the calculation, which is a token. Okay, it's not enough. I don't think that housewife's work is that of only 5,000 rupees when people like us get fat salaries. No? So that is, but that happened. And in another case, a husband wanted to, in Chennai court, husband wanted to divorce, he filed a divorce petition. He refused to give maintenance. In the court, he says, I won't pay a penny. She's of no use to me. I have a cook, I have a domestic worker, I have a chauffeur, I have a this thing to look after Aya, to look after my aging mother. This wife is of no use. Mufat ki roti todti hai, and I won't pay a penny. The judge, luckily for us, she's also trustee of a feminist legal organization, Majlis. She sat with the gender economist, and she said that, what is the time use analysis? What all before marriage, what was she doing? She was working. At the age of 22, she got married. Before that, she was working. After marriage, she gave up her job. She produced 3 children. She looked after her joint family. And after 25 years of marriage, that husband says he would throw her out and won't give her any a penny. So she computed the worth of her, had she continued in a job, how many promotions she would have got, how much remuneration she would have had, looking at her qualification. She was a graduate, her qualification, and the value of the contribution she made in the house, in homemaking and community management. And accordingly, they told the husband, this many lakhs you give as a corpus money to the court. And the interest of that amount will be given every month by the court. We don't trust you because you are not going to give her directly. So you will have to, unless you deposit the corpus amount of 25, 30 lakhs rupees. They also saw the husband's salary and the other income and fixed deposit and all that. And compensation and the maintenance was decided. So I think this is not just an academic exercise. gender sense, once you are gender sensitized, wherever you are, it gives you so many practical tips, and it also opens the pathway for gender equality wherever you are, in your personal life, in your professional life, and in your public political life. Oh my God. Now, why isn't it moving? Got it. So we saw that during the pandemic, 70% of the health workers, the corona warriors, were women, globally as well as in our country. Anganwadi and Asha workers, they were the heroines, and other doctors, nurses and all. But still, in the decision-making body of the public health, you hardly have 10 to 15% women's representation. And that's why right from WHO to the international bodies are now talking about women in the decision-making power. When you don't have gender sensitivity in the public health, what happens are the tragedies. During the pandemic, all government hospitals and the civil hospitals converted their maternity ward into COVID ward. What happened? We had so many stillborn babies, neonatal deaths, maternal mortality, maternal morbidity. Women had to deliver babies on their own, and so many children died. Vaccination program was not considered as a priority. ICDS centers were not considered as a priority. Essential service, only corona-related services were considered as this thing. So when you don't have gender sensitivity, this is the kind. Menstruation, within 15 days of lockdown, it's a major UN cry. Where are the pads? Everything, none of the drugstores or none of the supply of pads had also become scarce, or it had just disappeared. So in the health, the corona has taught us many more lessons about gender sensitivity when it comes to physical health, when it comes to psychological health, mental health, and public health, when you have to create a systems and structures in the healthcare system. Intersectionalism has now become a buzzword. Intersectionality is acknowledgement that everyone has his or her unique experiences of marginalization, discrimination, oppression, and hence we must consider everything that can be socially exclude or brutalize people on ground of his or her gender, caste, race, ethnicity, class, sexual orientation, physical ability, location, and language. I think we need to be very, very sensitive to all these parameters and accordingly come up with the measures so that we don't do any kind of injustice to the people. We need to have in gender sensitization all kind of gender related aspects, whether it is about the distribution of food, healthcare services, educational opportunities, the kind of saving habits, whether you will save money for daughter's wedding and son's education. That was the kind of advertisement we used to get by state governments, that why do you need to save? Even LIC ad was talking like that. Save for your son's education and daughter's wedding, as if marriage is the ultimate thing of a woman's life. Whether as if daughter doesn't need education, or a decision-making process, employment, household responsibilities, community management, parental property, political participation, violence against women. In all these issues, we need gender sensitivity. Economic is changing very fast. Currently we are talking about Industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, automation, robotics are entering our platform-based work. Many of you must be familiar with Ola and Uber, and also the service sector is now also platform-based. What these technology? Only technology can be liberating, or there too we have to see how this technology is being used. The modernization, green revolution, blue revolution, industrialization, agriculture mechanization, urbanization, IT revolution, all of them, unless you challenge the gender stereotype, by themselves are not going to provide level playing field to all genders. and a patriarchal model of healthcare industry, doctor as a father figure, nurse as a mother figure, and patients as children is undemocratic, totally hierarchical pyramid kind of structure that also is being challenged. Patients are not infants, patients are not children. You have to have a democratic relationship, two-way relationship between patient and doctor. Once you accept gender sensitization, then you also accept gender fluidity. All of us have a male, female, and transgender within us. Once you accept this kind of a gender fluid concept, you know that wherever you would aspire, whichever place and location you are, you would aspire, you would also lead, you would persist, you would speak, you would write, you would discover, you would dissent wherever you would see injustice, and you would also soar high with a confidence. You would not have any kind of a diffidence. You would accept every human being for a person who is, not just because of the gender. We have seen that globalization is bringing massive changes in our society, but at the same time, consumerist culture is also bringing out a very gory and dangerous elements. For example, if you see the National Crime Record Bureau's data this week, which are released, shows that dowry murders have increased by 45%. How do you explain this? Witch killing has increased, and single, divorced, deserted, and widow women, they are the ones who are the victim of it. Sexual violence has increased both in its intensity and the forms. When it comes to infrastructure, social infrastructure, and the physical infrastructure, we see everything is addressed to men, including the new 4 labor codes that have come. The agriculture sector, we even don't consider women as farmer. We always call women in agriculture sector as a farmer's wife, farmer's daughter, farmer's widow, farmer's mother. But she is a farmer, she does the farm work. How many of us acknowledge it? Even government doesn't acknowledge it. And that's why they don't have Kisan card. Once you don't, if you are not recognized as a contributor, then you also lose out in terms of whatever social security, social protection, and the support which is provided. So what we need to do under gender sensitization is to promote social norms that protect against violence, teach skills to prevent sexual violence, provide opportunities to empower and support girls, women, and transgender people, create protective environment, and support victims and survivors to lessen the harm. Don't do victim blaming. Don't find fault with the victim, the way it happened in case of Mathura. Find fault with the perpetrator. Put the onus on perpetrator. Other very important concern in gender sensitization is how to make our data system robust, whether it is a data on migration, data or data on work participation, data on food and nutrition. We need to have a visibility of gender. And 2 states, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, are providing gender aware, gender responsive data. Human development approach talks about developmental needs in terms of education, health, and employment. We have a gender-related development index prepared by United Nations Development Program. There are some mathematical techniques which they have given. Currently, we see that in India is lagging behind when it comes to India ranked 130th among the 189 countries in 2018. But if you see, India was ahead of Bangladesh, Pakistan. Bangladesh was ahead of India, but Pakistan was behind us. Now we have seen that in 2021, India has, from 138th, India's rank has gone down to 148th. That means we have a long way to go. Massive decline in the workforce participation, declining sex ratio, missing girls and women, trafficking of women, gender-based violence have created a major challenge for gender equality in our country. And that's why linkages between gender equality and creation of opportunities is very important. Second one is that for certain best practices that are happening in different states, Maharashtra, Haryana, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. I think we need to emulate that, and we also need to learn the more and more intervention strategies and whatever promises India has in terms of Millennium Development Goals. 8 goals were from 2000 to 2015, and the Sustainable Development Goals, which are there from 2015 to 2030. All 17 goals we have to do the gender mainstreaming, and goal number 5 is totally targeted to gender equality. So mainstreaming of gender and also targeted intervention on gender. This is the twin approach that we need to have for making our promises for Sustainable Development Goal applicable and successful in the Indian context. So India is now going ahead with massive gender sensitization program, and I congratulate Deogarh College and Shatrupa Madam and the team for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation. Now, I have also shared some of the important publications on gender sensitization. They are there in public domain. Esther Bosrop's pioneering work, the Government of India's Towards Equality report, which brought the paradigm shift in our thinking. Caroline Moser's work on gender planning and development, Martha Nussbaum and Amartya Kumar Sen's work on women's entitlement, our work on Millennium Development Goals, and the discourse on gender and empowerment. And Smita Mishra from Odisha, she has come up with a very important and edited volume called Engendering Governance. The whole book is on internet free of charge. You can download it from the Sage publication. And with this, I would like to appeal that the promises we have made to our foremothers of the 19th century social reform movement, whether they were Pandita Ramabai, Savitribai Phule, Tarabai Shinde, Madam Kama, and all the luminaries who dedicated their life for empowerment of women and for gender sensitization, we owe our salute to them. And on this 75th anniversary of India's independence, we need to promise that we will use all our energy, our physical energy, our intellectual energy, our emotional energy, and our talent and creativity for promotion of gender sensitization. These are the 11 women whose photograph, totally 15 women played very important role in Constitution of India. The first teacher of modern education, Savitribai Phule, and one who supported her when Savitribai Phule was socially ostracized and thrown out by her in-laws. Both husband and wife were thrown out. It was Fatima Sheikh and her brother who gave them shelter. The first school of modern education for the girls who were socially rejected and women, widows who were thrown out by their own families was started by Savitribai Phule. All these women, they also formed their institutions. Rokeya Sakhawat Hussain played a pivotal role. She was also had a child marriage, but her husband was very progressive. Once she got educated, she started Anjuman Islam schools. We had a Pandita Ramabai, who also formed shelter homes and schools for women. Here is a photograph of Usha Ben Mehta, who was running underground radio for the freedom movement of our country. Even as a child, she had formed the Monkey Brigade to support the Quit India movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. Now we have reached, after 75 years, we have reached a stage where we have a Tri-Shakti, that is a Air Vice Marshal Sadhna, Rear Air Admiral Aarti Sareen, and Major General Kavita Sahai. They are the ones who have reached the pinnacle of success in the Indian Defense Forces. This 8th March, the slogan given by the global community under the leadership of United Nations is "Break the Bias." We'll help forge a gender equal world. We will maintain gender equal mindset. For that, break the bias. We will challenge gender stereotypes and discrimination and bias, break the bias. We will call out gendered actions or assumptions, break the bias. We will try to influence others' beliefs and actions, break the bias. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening and inspiring deliberation. Now it is the time for question and answer session. I invite convener to coordinate this session.
Thank you, Bikash, sir. And first, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Vibhuti ma'am for such a comprehensive session on gender sensitization. We are really fortunate to have you, ma'am, and all those who are watching, they must have enjoyed the session to the fullest. I would say this session was brilliant, factually, which involves a lot of fact-based evidence of gender discrimination that is happening even today. Visually, because of all the perceptive slides that you prepared, and we enjoyed, watching them. It is always easier to make a better impact visually rather than textually. So you have also taken all the pains to take care of that. So we are really grateful. And also at the emotive levels, because of the anecdotes you shared with us from your family experiences, from your work experiences, all those anecdotes that you shared, they also touched us emotionally. And that is also, a very good way of appealing to the masses to be aware of what this problem is, why it still exists in our society, and what we must do about it. So I'm really grateful to you, Vibhuti ma'am. You have exceeded all expectations, and I would like to say a big thank you to you. And I'm really grateful to all the participants who have joined us. And it would be really nice if you can put some questions to ma'am. She will be happy to address them. You can do it directly. You can unmute yourself and you can talk to ma'am. Please do so. Yes, Harsha ma'am, please.
First of all, my happy congratulations and thank you, Vibhuti ma'am. The more to listen to you, more we get empowered and more we get enriched. Thank you very much. Thanks, ma'am. Again, what I think is, suppose at national level in Maharashtra it is there, but at national level, any helpline number is there?
Number?
Helpline number?
Yeah. Now, 181 is a national helpline, which is all India jurisdiction. Plus, during the pandemic, there are dedicated helplines only for children in distress, only for children who are facing trafficking, or to prevent child marriage, there is a special helpline. Then you have a helpline for the migrant workers who get stranded during they created, and helpline in different regional languages, because so many people are not able to communicate in English or Hindi. So even for that, so because that was the only way we could have survived during lockdown. So, and several educational institutions also, like iCall was the helpline created by TISS, or we had a state level police, different police for this thing they had created. Childline is an NGO, 109, they had created only for children in distress. And National Commission for Women created a helpline in which more than 3,75,000 children called within 1 year of 1920. So in 1 year, they got this many distress calls. 25% were by the adolescent girls who were being forced into child marriage or trafficking.
Take water.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And those who are retired or those who would like to walk in this area can take some projects.
Yeah, volunteers. Yes. There are volunteers. They are even government states commissions also have volunteers. Like Maharashtra State Commission for Women, Mahila Ayog, they also have volunteers. It is in Bandra. Yeah.
Thank you. Pani pilo.
Yes, please have some water, ma'am. Yes, now I would like to request my colleagues, if they have any questions, they can come forward and talk to ma'am directly. Yes, Gayatri ma'am, would you like to talk to ma'am?
Hello, Vibhuti ma'am.
Ha.
My name is Gayatri Pradhan, faculty of this institution, Department of Political Science.
Yeah.
First, I really grateful to have a part of your beautiful deliberation and really fortunate enough to listen your deliberation. And we enjoyed a lot from the whole in the whole session. But I have a question, ma'am. Though there are a lot of laws and legislations for women or gender to fulfill the solve the issues relating to gender, but still in our family, when we teach in the class students that these are the gender equality, these are the issues, how to overcome these issues. But in our family, when we enter in our family, we know there is a big generation gap, though they may be our parents or father-in-law, mother-in-law. But in that cases, we are suffering from some kind of inequalities. So what is the I mean to say, what is the solution? Ma'am, can I speak in Hindi?
Yes, you can speak.
मतलब मैं ये बोलना चाहती हूँ मैम कि कैसे हम हमारे पेरेंट्स हो या फिर हमारे क्लोज पर्सन है जो भी, उन्हें हर्ट ना करके फिर भी हमारा इक्वालिटी को मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, कैसे हम हमारे राइट्स को एंजॉय कर सकते हैं विदाउट बीइंग हर्ट देम। मतलब हम उन्हें हर्ट नहीं करना चाहते हैं बिकॉज दे आर आवर फैमिली मेंबर, दे आर आवर क्लोज मेंबर्स, और एट द सेम टाइम we want to maintain our rights and we want to do in our way some kind of activities, though we have rights, but we are still facing inequality in our family. People often says your changes start from yourself, but if I change our mind, I will change our mind, but I am not live in isolation. I live in a society. I live in our family, with our family. So I want to ask you, what is the solution in that situation? How to cope with that situation?
One, as you said, we have to continuous negotiations should be on. Secondly, we can also show them some films about, or the way we do in a workshop or in a camp, no? Because how people change. Like when we started working with these boys who came from an extremely discriminatory environment between boys and girls, that's what they had inherited. Mother would not even, you would just be, you focus on studies and your sister will give you water, that kind of culture they came. And once we started saying that, no, everybody has to do every type of work and we should support. Or you take them to the family where you see there is so much of harmony when everyone is working in your neighborhood. If there is anybody, there were initially when my husband started helping me, there were one or two people who called me Bibi ka Gulam. But at the same time, there were so many other women found it very liberating that, yeah, it is so, she's able to do so much. Even whenever she's writing, nobody disturbs her because they said, no, she's writing, let her finish this thing, we'll do. But tell us what we have to, what work we have to do. So we have seen that all those who have excelled, whether it is in the world of art, music, painting, teaching, politics, they have a massive family support. And I think that support is very, very important. And when anyone in the family, whether it's our father or brother or uncle, when they achieve, whole family stands by them. So why not for the women members of the family, no? So I think argument has to go on. Other thing is some of the successful examples that we can share. And sometimes even the films, no? Or like I saw that film Piku. Everybody in the women's compartment would be watching Piku. And then they started saying that, yeah, she looks after her aging father. And so many working women, they were discussing. They said, yeah, we are also earning, we are getting 5-figure salary. And still I have to take permission to even meet my parents. Why should we do that? And it's completely started a different mindset that here is a young woman architect who says that it is most important to look after her father rather than just abandoning him and dumping him in a old age home. No, so I think this kind of changes, or we have seen, we are showing some of the documentaries, no, about deconstructing patriarchy in Indian films, no, and after seeing that document, people start thinking differently, or doing gender role reversal that we do. Ask पापा आज आप चाय बनाएंगे और मम्मा बैठ के पिएगी, ऐसा कर सकते हैं कि हम ऐसा खेल सकते हैं या नहीं. So this kind of experiments have also done. In Delhi, you have seen there is a group by young Delhi University boys called MUSTBOL, Must Bowl. Like must, you know, in Punjab, must is a very cool. And so this is Must Bowl. And these boys are making small videos, 2 minutes, 3 minutes ka video. Today I told my mom, I'm going to make tea. You sit. So you sit in a drawing room and I'll serve. And that much is the video, no bhashan, nothing. That itself is giving different message to hundreds of students who are watching that video. Or other thing, gali. Kyun hum gali bolte hain? And what is the origin of that particular gali? And they say, oh my, I never knew. They said without giving gali, nothing works. That's what workers in the railways used to tell me when I used to work for them. They say, gali nahi diya to machine engine chalega hi nahi. That kind of thing. And then we said, what is the meaning of this gali? And then they started. They said, oh bapre, I never knew that this is the meaning of this thing. Recently in Mumbai, the very popular play is Mard ko dard hota hai. Men also get pain, because generally the macho culture tells you any amount of wounds or fights or attack doesn't cause any pain to a man. But this play by Man Against Violence and Abuse is so helpful. It has changed lives of hundreds of men. And now they have the play ends with all the stereotypes that we have and what kind of damages it is causing to man, because misogyny is not only harming women and children, it is harming man also. Decent man also get changed. So that's why we are not, it is not man against women. It is against decent behavior, against this kind of aggressive and what you call cruel behavior. So this play ends with whatever they have shown in the play, where the macho culture causes destruction, damage, loss of self-esteem, exclusion, stigma, prejudices. The play ends with ये सब काम नहीं करना है तो क्या काम करना है, ये तो मर्दों का काम है, मर्दों का काम is all that, no? And then they said, नहीं ये तो औरत वाला काम, या तो ये इंसान वाला काम, मर्दों के सामने मर्द versus इंसान, they call it. इंसानों का क्या काम क्या है? So the play ends with the इंसानों का काम, looking after baby, cooking, gardening, watering plants, looking after nurturing trees. So play ends with that, no? And it's such a powerful message, and it's a tableau, and it freezes, all the actors freeze with that scene, no? So I think this type of exercises are very important. But I think my personal experience that you should have a dialogue. You should know whether with your parents or with your this thing. And now I think in PTA, we in schools and colleges can do a lot by bringing these issues in the agenda of PTA. PTA is not only Bollywood songs and eating snacks, no. It should be far more important exercise. I have seen in two colleges of SNDT. One is one which is near Dharavi. There are 12,000 students coming from the Dharavi Basti. Basically, students from Panipuri makers and taxi walas, informal sector workers, auto rickshaw walas. Other is the Malad College, where teachers have a very, very meaningful discussion with the parents. उनको लगता है college के लिए तो भाग जाएगी. Even after they said if the lectures are from 9 to 11, why aren't they home by 12:30? But they have to go to library. वो भी उनको नहीं. Girls come and they have given mobile, cheaper variety of mobile to their girls just for the monitoring. There'll be a movement where they are. And they say, ma'am, just speak to my mother that I need to read in the library. No, that is the level of surveillance they have. And when you have meaningful discussion with the family members, parents also, they attend once in a year, they would attend, no? And discussing about sharing of housework or the career plans for boy and girl, relationship between men and women, it does make difference. So many times nobody had told them. No, कभी तो किसी ने उनको बताया ही नहीं कि दूसरे प्रकार के रिस्पेक्टफुल और एगैलिटेरियन रिलेशनशिप, बोले हम वही सालों से देखते आए, पीढ़ियों से देखते आए हैं. Even this boys who we had one very gruesome case of rape called Shakti Meal case. It was an abandoned meal where an intern had gone just for the photography, and she was raped by these 6 drug addict boys, all young, 14 to 16-year-old boy. You see the statement, they grew up in that culture where there was nothing but all foul language used against women, screams of marital rape, which they would hear in their neighborhood, in their own house and all. And all along there was a misogyny. Even the song, those dirty songs that you get, the cheapest literature available in Mumbai city is a pornography. 2 rupees में आपको पूरा upload करके देते हैं अपने mobile पर. Any pan wala would do it. So if that culture, they this only after they were in jail, because now they are given the life imprisonment. So only after being in jail, when the counselor started talking to them, no, they realized there is that what they did was wrong. Otherwise, they said nobody had prevented us. All their life they were doing teasing. All their life they were doing the lifting skirt of a girl, and everyone would laugh. Even teacher would laugh. So if this is what is the culture, that if there is an impunity, हम कुछ भी करेंगे कुछ हमको नहीं होगा, nobody can touch us. If that is the kind of atmosphere in which children grow up, or if then they will never learn that what is wrong and what is right. It was our parents, our relatives, our dadis, our nannies who had told us, ye ganda hai, ye acha hai, ye bura hai. And that's why we got certain kind of values, that what is to be done and what is not to be done. So I think we need to do a lot at that level. And that's why even in the whichever platform you get, like we have an organization called Sri Mukti Sangatna, they show their play at the time of Ganpati. Ganpati is a 10 days festival we have. And all the socially meaningful themes they accept, and they choose. And through role play, through music ballet, through songs written in the Maharashtrian folk tune they are doing. There is a group in Baroda called Sahir. All 10 days of Navratri, they have come up with a special garbas written by feminists like us in Gujarati. And they sing those garbas which talk about dreams of a girl's, importance of education, importance of living in harmony with nature, society without any form of violence. And that has also created a different kind of a message. It gives different kind of message to young men, women, children. They are invited in schools. DRDA district authorities also invite them to the government schools and all. So I know the patriarchal value system is consolidated itself. It is like an octopus, no, because it just encircles and suppresses your body from all 8 tentacles. So you remove one tentacle through education, then other tentacles are very much there. So this kind of challenge has happened only in last 200 years globally. Okay, so now we all have to make concerted effort. It makes responsibility. All of us have to take responsibility of continuing this dialogue, so that if not us, then at least our future generation gets more level playing field. No.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. It will help a lot.
One line can I share?
Yes, Harsha, ma'am.
Ma'am, I think with this, I can add whatever ma'am has discussed now. All points are covered in this Ahilya by Holkar serial, which is coming from Monday to Friday at 7:30. And how during that time, Ahilya by Holkar has courageously done the fantastic work of Vidhva Viva and how to empower economically. And now she is trying how to empower them to have उनका खुद का सेफ्टी रक्षण को खुद कर सके, उसके लिए उनको तलवारबाजी बंद और वोट देते हैं तलवारबाजी थी, So how to empower them? Today, she has shown no 3 Army, Navy, this one. At that time, she has found it. So we can discuss with the students how to empower girls. Thank you.
Self-defense.
Thank you, ma'am. And this was, I mean, what you said was important. What I liked about your lecture today, you linked gender sensitization with all the streams that, colleges or universities offer. And you have showed us that what we are studying, it should not be removed from this issue. Whatever we might choose economics, we might choose anthropology, we might choose literature, we might choose any other stream, but we have to use this lens. We have to check whether in our discourse, the discourse that we are studying, are we sensitive about this gender discrimination, which is often veiled, which is often not clear. It happens in subtle ways, as you rightly pointed out. And from what you suggested in the question answer session, we also have an important point that if we are to bring about a change in the mindset, be it our professional fraternity with those we are working, or they are our family members or close friends, usually the best way to go about it is to channel popular culture. As you said, we can show them movies, or we can enact role plays, or we can access these things which are available in the popular culture, in the popular media, and we can use them to convince those people who matter to us. Because as Gayatri ma'am rightly pointed out, we cannot be harsh with them. We have to convince them in such a way that they understand and they are not hurt. So thank you, ma'am. Really, it was a very wonderful session, both your lecture and the question answer session. Now, I hand it over back to Vikas sir to take it towards the end. Yes. Vikas sir.
Now I request the member of this for broadcasts.
Yes, Bikram sir, you can go ahead.
Okay. In last closing remarks, I just want to add 2 lines. Whatever Madam said, it is my personal opinion. We are Homo sapiens, firstly and lastly, which is matter most, and the Mother Nature make this thing to do like this. So, and the society what we ever made that in this we are differently think, and the gap between the ancient practice, which is matriarchy possibly, and right now what we have right now, patriarchy. And during this trajectory period, we lost our essence, and we create a rigid dichotomy between patriarchy and matriarchy, even male and females, and straights, and the right now the world of LGBTQR. It's not difficult to understand, but not only equality what we need to make a bridge between equality and equity. That is matter most, and we need to conscious effort to change this discrimination, this change of this barrier between male and female and LGBTQR, so that all genders, including LGBTQR or male and female or whatever, maybe in future new gender will comes out, can share equal opportunity, liberty, or maybe live in harmony. And this is what I just wanted to add. Right now we need to close. It's a big time, and you just take 2 hours of complete comprehensive, you can say that, maybe some might be feel bored, and I feel really interesting. I feel really empowered, and I will look in the lens of this gender sensitization, whatever you gave us right now. I would like to thank you, Professor Vibhuti Patel, ma'am. Thank you for accepting this invitation. It was really, really grateful to listen to you, and you have covered, I don't know you anything miss out. You have a wide variety of topics. Even if I write down in my paper, it will like a book to me. And yes, I would like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. Vijay Kumar Maharana, for his guidance and continuous inspiration. Satrupa ma'am and Vikas sir, I really thankful for your contribution to make this possible. I would like to thank Sachin and Mani for their short introduction about the Deogarh district and about this college, and lastly our audience, students and participants around the countries like Mumbai, Surat, Bihar, Lucknow, maybe Karnataka. It's a powerful packed audience, and due to some technical error they could not join us, but I must say this is the time of Nuakhai. I just want to wish you Nuakhai everyone, one Nuakhai Juhar to everyone. And thank you everyone for joining this wonderful session. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Please take care. Thank you, Vikram sir, for your words. Now the session is closed.
Thank you, everyone, ma'am. Thank you, the organizing team, and Vibhuti, ma'am. Thanks a lot. I was, in fact, dying to hear from you since so long. I was connected on the WhatsApp group, but never got a chance to hear you. And ma'am, please keep on enlightening us with more of your lectures, more of your seminars. We would love to listen from you on different topics, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Where are you from, ma'am?
Ma'am, I'm from Lucknow.
Achha, which institution?
I'm from Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti Language University.
Oh, you're from also language university. Okay. Nice to meet you.
Same here, ma'am. Loved listening to you. And thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
I
last thing
request
want to-
Vikram sir, please post the feedback link again, because there are messages asking for the link. And once
Yes,
you submit the feedback form, you will get your certificates automatically.
I will also send the forms from to your mail so that you can.
Yes, please post it again so that if anyone wants, they can take it from here. Yes, it has been posted. Please.
Ma'am, we haven't received it automatically. We have simply filled the feedback forms, but have not yet received.
No, you will receive it. You will receive it. Please check your email once.
Okay,
If there is a problem, then you can always tell us. We'll send it to you.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so
Thank you,
should
Vibhuti,
we?
ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
आपका
Just a minute more.
ऑफलाइन सेशन हो जाने के बाद आपसे बड़ी दूरी बन गई है मैं।
हाँ बराबर।
बड़े दिन बाद मैं तो डेटिंग में था, बड़े देरी से मैं यूट्यूब से ही जुड़ा हुआ था।
अच्छा,
तो मैं जानकर जुड़ना चाह रहा था कि मैं आपके बीच में आऊं, कम से कम एक झलक, एक तस्वीर तो हो जाए। क्या?
अच्छा बराबर। आप तो बिहार से है ना?
हाँ मैम, मैं तो बराबर आपके बीच में होता ही हूँ।
नहीं वो तो
जब आप मुझे सूचित कर देते हैं, मैं टाइम निकाल कर जुड़ जाता हूँ। फिलहाल मेरे तरफ गणपति पूजन चल रहा है, मैं उस पूजा में बैठा हुआ हूँ।
हमारे महाराष्ट्र में भी यही चल रहा है, बराबर। फिर भी आप आ गए। नहीं, आप वहाँ के पत्रकार है ना?
जी, पटना में मैम। अब बहुत जल्द वहाँ से स्टार्टअप करने वाला हूँ, सारा चीज हो गया। मैं आपको वेबसाइट का लिंक भी भेज दूँ।
चलेगा, बहुत अच्छा। आपके जैसे जवान बच्चे ये काम में जुड़े, बहुत जरूरी है। हाँ।
आपका आशीर्वाद रहेगा मैम। तो मैंने जितना भी सुना है और जो ऑब्जर्व किया, आप उसको धरातल पे करना है।
नहीं, बरोबर करना ही है। और आप अपनी पत्रकारिता और आपकी कलम के जोर से समाज को हम परिवर्तन ला सकते।
बिल्कुल।
बहुत अच्छा। बोलो।
Can I take few minutes of yours?
या बोलो ना,
Ma'am, I just want to say that I'm very much fond of writing. तो मैं फीमेल्स पे, स्पेशली महिलाओं के ऊपर मैंने बहुत कुछ लिखा है. तो मैं चाहती हूँ मैं किसी माध्यम से आपके साथ साझा कर सकूं मैम. तो
आप हिंदी में लिखते हैं या उर्दू में?
मैम मैं हिंदी, उर्दू, इंग्लिश तीनों लैंग्वेजेस में
तीनों
लिखती हूँ.
ठीक है.
जी.
हाँ,
अगर आप टाइम दे तो मैं एक कविता भी 4 लाइन की वो सुनाना चाह रही थी.
हाँ, बोलिए.
Although it is not very much relevant to the topic today, but still, if you please permit.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. पहले वो पिता बनने की कोशिश करेंगे, ऐसे जताएंगे जैसे आज तक तुम पिता के दुलार से कैसे रही महरूम, मेरी बच्ची टाइप. किसी दिन अम्मा बने दिल का हाल पूछेंगे, गिरते बालों के लिए कोई तेल ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर करेंगे, हल्दी दूध वाला आइडिया देंगे, बहन की तरह पुचकारेंगे, कहेंगे रात में भी फोन कर सकती हो, मैं हूं ना, तुम अकेली नहीं हो, मैं खूब समझता हूँ औरत का मन. ये जो प्यार में अति से ज्यादा पप्पा अम्मा बहन बनकर तुम्हारे आत्मा में सेंध लगाते हैं ना, ये जो ऐसे जताते हैं कि अगर ये नहीं होते तो लड़खड़ाती सी कौन भला संभालता तुम्हें, एकदम बुद्धू बच्ची हो. तो मेरी दोस्त, पहले तो उसके पालना घर से बाहर निकलो, चौक चबारे तक घूमाओ, देर रात किताबों से इश्क करो. ये काल्पनिक हाथों का मसाज कमर का दर्द कम नहीं करेगा, दिल का दर्द बढ़ाएगा. एक बार में ना एक ही रिश्ता काम आएगा. ऐसे पैकेज वाले प्यार में मत जाओ वारी, प्रेम को प्रेम की ही तरह बरतना प्यारी. एक लड़की बेसुध रो रही है कि खो दिया उसने प्रेम, जो पिता था, माँ था, बहन और भाई था. उफ, वो सब था, बस प्रेम नहीं था. This is what ma'am I have written.
ये बहुत जरूरी है आजकल की लड़कियों तक ये बात ले जाना, बहुत ही महत्व. अपने पाँव पे खड़े रहो, अपनी मेहनत पे खड़े रहो. और जैसे शत्रुपा मैडम कितने कठिनाइयों में उन्होंने सैकड़ों लड़कियों के जीवन बनाए हैं. जोत से जोत जगाना वही हमारा मकसद होता है. आपकी कविता सही बात है. जो हम अपने में ही डूबे रहते हैं तो ये सब होता है. हम सब दूसरों के सोचते हैं.
There were days not long back I completely lost my voice once. It was when my daughter was born. Man, everyone was like hopeless, कि nothing can be done now. But ma'am, see today, it's my hope and courage that I am into teaching profession.
Very good. बहुत अच्छा.
मैम मेरी ये अंदर की खुद की हिम्मत रही. अदरवाइज सारे डॉक्टर्स ने एकदम होपलेस थे कि nothing could be done. लेकिन I just keep on trying. और जैसी भी आवाज है मैम आपके सामने, और इसी आवाज में मैं पढ़ा रही हूँ, एंड स्टूडेंट्स आर क्वाइट हैप्पी.
आपका कंटेंट इतना पावरफुल है ना, आप जो कहती है बातें वही इतनी पावरफुल है. प्यार से किशोरी आमोणकर जी का सुनिए, इतनी अच्छी वो अपनी सफलता की चोटी पे थी और उनका आवाज चला गया. 9 डॉक्टरों ने भी बोला अभी कभी वापस नहीं बोलेगी. 9 साल लगे उनको, लेकिन वापस वो शी बाउंस बैक. और अभी लास्ट ईयर वो गुजर गई, वो भी काफी बड़ी उम्र में, 87 या ऐसे. किशोरी आमोणकर, आप उनके गीत सुना. क्लासिकल सिंगर, मेरी फेवरेट है क्लासिकल सिंगर.
अरे वाह, ग्रेट मैम.
किशोरी आमोणकर.
I used to be a very good orator and singer, but now I have lost all my voice. But even then, ma'am, it's my motivation, self motivation that is keeping me.
फिर आ जाएगा, नॉर्मल भी आ जाएगा. धीरे धीरे अपन काम करें, और हम जब अच्छा करते हैं ना तो कभी हमारे लिए भी अच्छा होता ही. मेरा तो ये
मैम, आप लोगों का आशीर्वाद
भी अच्छी रहती है, अपने आसपास के हम खुश रहते हैं, आसपास वालों को खुश.
Self motivation is very important, and I'm sure Shan Fatima ma'am, you will go ahead and you will definitely you will get success.
There is a theory of helpers high, no? Helpers high. जो दूसरों की मदद करते हैं वो हमेशा उनका स्पिरिट हाई रहता है. वो कोरोना के जो वॉलंटियर्स थे ना, उनसे मैंने सीखा कि वो उनको डर नहीं लगता था बस्ती में जाने का, लोगों में काम करने का. तो बोले नहीं, इट इज हेल्पर्स आए, हमको कुछ नहीं होगा.
जी मैम, दैट इज द स्पिरिट मैम. चलो, थैंक यू एवरीवन. मैंने आप लोगों का बहुत सारा टाइम.
थैंक यू सो मच, एंड आई वुड लाइक टू टेक दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी to tell the audience that Vibhuti ma'am had come to my previous place of posting. That was Government Women's College, Bhavani, Patna. And in that college, that is just an arts college. and it's a women's college only for girls. And at that time, we offered honors subjects only in 3 streams, in 3 subjects, that is history and political science and education. And there were no other honors subjects in that college. But Vibhuti ma'am, she directly, through her talk, she appealed to the government of Odisha to, increase the scope for the girls in that district, because it was the only government women's college in Kalahandi district. And we are really happy now that government has, agreed to increase the number of seats, and we have already got approval, that they will offer honors courses in all the subjects. So now the choices for the girls are not limited, and the girls have more subjects to choose from, and in that sense more autonomy. So we are really grateful to you, ma'am, though I'm not there anymore, but I feel really happy that before I got transferred, this positive decision came up, and I'm really grateful to you for helping me with that.
Hundreds of girls now unke jeevan pe asar
Yes.
padega.
So thank you, everyone. This has been such a great session, and we would like to end it now. So
It's also a therapeutic session for all of us. We are learning so much from each other's experiences.
Yes, ma'am. We are learning from each other.
People are not, we are not willing to leave actually. That is why the candidates are joining. So until and unless you will leave, ma'am, we are not going to.
Okay, I will leave. Okay. Chala. Bye. Really nice speaking.
Take care, ma'am. Yes.
Bye.
We would like to welcome you again some other time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.